Hey booty goblins, and welcome back to another episode of 90 Day Fiancé. This week is episode 3. Now in this week's episode, a lot of the couples are now starting their 90-day period, and some of them aren't having the best of time starting off the bat. Starting off with Mark and Mina, it's their first day waking up with each other, and Mark is so elated that he had to put his kid in a headlock. But the happy times don't last very long. Mina is ready to call her kid in the morning Clayton. Clayton is her son that she had to leave back in Paris, and of course Clayton is very sad that his mom is halfway across the world. And one thing that's gonna make me cry every single time is seeing a kid sad or hurt, or an animal sad or hurt. So best believe I was definitely shedding some tears for this kid. I would cry over a damn dinosaur. Now make that dinosaur a kid and it's over with.
I'll be with you, even if you can't see me.
What do you mean if I can't see you? I can always see you.
But Clayton already misses his mom and says that he feels like it's going to be a long time before he even gets there. And Mina tries to reassure him, saying that it's going to happen quickly, he's going to be here soon. But she truly does not know that. She doesn't know how long the process is going to take. But Clayton doesn't understand what's going on, and Mina just promises him that her and Mark are working on it. Now after she gets off the phone with her son, she talks to Mark about the wedding date, asking if maybe they can go ahead and change it because she does not want to get married if her son is not down here. And Mark is just explaining how the process works, that she has to be here for the 90 days, and if she leaves before, then it's just a one entry, you can't come back. And he just doesn't understand what's going on or what to do, because Clayton was on the K1 visa. He was going through the process with Mina and Maria, but something happened with his passports, so they don't understand what's going on. He doesn't know what to do, and she's saying that she will not get married without Clayton being down here. But now it's time to get up and get ready, and Mina goes downstairs and tries to cook something. She provided the raw bacon and almost burnt the house down. She literally had a plug sitting inside of a gas stove while it was lit. But the biggest concern for that baby is not the hot dogs that she had to have for breakfast, but that Mark did not plan for this baby whatsoever. You have had this child for 2 years and you don't have a single baby item in the house, not one. He didn't even have diapers. The one thing that you need with a baby is diapers. But she's mostly tripping out that he didn't have any high chair for her to sit. So they decide to go out for a day of shopping. And while he's driving through the community that he lives through, he's talking about how he's been seeing bears. He's over here trying to convince her to stay in this place, but is also like, yeah, your baby can get just swept up at any time by a bear out here. Like, what? But I guess Mark doesn't live near any kind of actual store, because they pull up on a gas station to buy all of the things that this baby needs. So they go in there and buy a tiny pack of diapers, which you know that baby is gonna go through that pack of diapers in like one day. And then they're also grocery shopping inside of the store. This girl is over here asking for lamb chops and fresh veggies. I don't even know if I would want to buy lamb chops and veggies from a store like this in the first place. That's too much. He should have taken her to an actual store. And right after that, they have to go to another store because they're still looking for a high chair. And instead of just going to a regular store, he takes her to the most countryed out furniture store that you know they weren't gonna have a high chair in there. At this point, I would have been big tweaking just off of him not even being prepared for our baby. But Mina does the best that she can with the stores that she's provided, and for dinner she serves up some good old-fashioned gas station pasta. Now you know ain't nothing better than spaghetti noodles boiled in diesel. And for some reason, her little baby is being ungrateful and not eating that gas station pasta. So they go ahead and put Maria down for the night. Now Mark, for the 100th time, is trying to convince Mina to stay and live in that house for a while. But we all know he's not going to win that fight. So he moves on and tells her that it's time for her to go and meet up with his family. And he especially wants her to talk to his daughter Jordan. And even though Mina and Jordan only met one time, it seems like they already have beef right off the bat. Well, Mina anyway. Mark is just saying how his daughter Jordan is just protective of him and just wants the best for him, which is completely reasonable. But Mina already feels like there's competition between her and Jordan for his money, for his heart. But he goes on to say there's no competition. He loves them both. There's enough space in his heart for both of them. And she doesn't want to listen to that. She's like, are we enemies? And he's asking her just to give it a chance, just to give the family a chance, because they only got to meet them one time. But he does go on to tell her that him and Jordan are close and that she doesn't think that he should have any more kids. And she starts crying and she's like, I came here for my money. I came here to make more family. And goes on to say that that Jordan is such a hypocrite, that Jordan and her had such a great time. They have this one photo of them smiling. How dare she? But she starts going off about Jordan. She's like, I'm not gonna talk to her because she's a damn snake. And you know, I applaud Mark for this one because he stood up for his daughter and he was like, do not talk about my daughter like that. I know my daughter. You barely even know her, so you can't just call her a snake. And she's like, nope, she's a snake. You're always listening to your daughter. You know, she has no authorization over your money. I mean, our relationship. And he just tries to explain, my daughter is just trying to look out for me. She's not having it though. She's like, you know what? You can sleep in this hot tub. Don't come inside my house. Good night. Now we go to Matt and Anie, and they're getting ready to leave for Mexico. And they're just hanging out with their kids and letting them know that they're going to be gone for 2 weeks. They say the first half of the vacation is just going to be them three having a romantic time, and the second half is them going to see her family and getting to know them more. But they're all packed up and they're ready to go, and they're driving to Mexico, and Anie is feeling really bad right now. She's feeling like a shitty mom because she's like, I'm leaving my kids for 2 weeks for love. Like, I already have a man, but I'm going out here again. So she's not feeling the best. But while they're heading there, her jealousy issue starts to pop up, and she's talking about how she wants Anie and Matt to build a connection, have that relationship, but at the same time it is like, what if you guys build a relationship? What if you like her?
What?
Isn't this where it's supposed to be going? But she's concerned that she's gonna somehow get left out, or Matt is gonna end up liking Anie a lot more. Like, she's gonna check more boxes than Anie will. So she's like, we need to set some boundaries, some rules. You guys can't talk without me. You guys can't talk about me. If you say something about me, I need to be involved. Like, she's ready to blend Anie in, but she's also freaking out about it. Now, Anie and Matt make it to Mexico, and they're gonna meet her at the Day of the Dead festival. And this is where we get to meet Anie. She's 37. She lives in Mexico, and she is a stripper. And this is how Matt and Anie met her. Anie says she's been around so many couples before, but there was just something different about them. She was tall, beautiful, everything she wanted, so she just gravitated towards them. Now, Anie is practicing or doing whatever. I'm sure the producers were just like, do a little dance for us. But her friend comes in, and Anie just tells them about Anie and Matt. Oh my gosh, I'm having so much trouble with Anie and Anie. I'm having to repeat myself so many times. But Anie tells them about them, saying that she's in a relationship with them, that they freaking divorced to marry her. I swear. But Anie heads home, and she's just saying how stripping is really hard. You're out all night dancing your ass off, and then you have to come home to your kids, you know, work during the day, and says that she does it because she is a mother and she's gonna do what she has to do. Now, when Anie and Matt were talking about Anie and saying that she had 3 kids, I did not expect her oldest kid to already be grown. I figured that they were gonna try to bring 3 kids down, but no, one of them is already 20 years old, and she says when she was 16 she got pregnant, and it was really hard for her because her kid's dad just up and disappeared while she was pregnant, so she had to start stripping at a young age, and it was tough on her. But at the end of the day, that's how she met Matt and Anie, and she's really excited about this whole experience. She's never done it before. She's never been with a couple, so she is kind of nervous that they're having fun right now, but eventually they're just gonna end up dropping her and get bored of her. Now we go over to Greg, and he's setting up a whole meal for Joan, and he's about to go pick her up from the airport, and he said he wanted to be a baker, and no shade or anything, but he made these cookies, and they didn't look that good. I'm sorry. Like, I love to bake. I be baking. So not to toot my own toot, but I be baking some cookies. And I don't know, maybe it's just my preference. I don't like those big puffed up like cake cookie things. Like, just eat a cake. Like, a cookie should either be like thin and crispy, or like it should be spread out. Like, it shouldn't just be a ball of dough and then they look dark on the bottom. I'm sorry, I'm criticizing, but I'm like, if you're gonna be a baker, you're gonna need to learn how to bake the cookies. But with Joan arriving, his mom is still nervous about the whole boom chicka wow wow, so she brings up the separate room thing again and is like, please, I just don't want to hear any noises. I'm not trying to feel like a third wheel. Like, just invite me if it's gonna happen. But he assures her that he'll call her up if anything does go down. But it's time for him to go ahead and get out of there, and instead of having a sign that says Joan, he decided to bake a sourdough sign, which I thought was kind of cute. Now he heads out and he's driving to get Joan, and he is super excited. He's elated. He's over the sun. And you know, I compared him with Colty last week, and we haven't gotten that far, so I may continue to keep comparing him to Colty. But one thing he did was at least show up with something, and with a smile and some tears on his face. Because when Colty went to go pick up Larissa, he didn't have a single thing on him, not even a smile on his face. But she comes out, and of course it's a cute reunion. They're hugging, kissing, loving each other. And this is where we get to meet Joan. And she doesn't get a whole little segment of like, this is who I am. But her name is Joan, and she's from Uganda. That's all we get. But now that she's here, the realization that she's here is starting to kick in, that she left everything back home. Now they start heading home, and Joan is surprised by America. Everything's modern, and she's surprised that we even have trees. But Greg goes into talking about his mom and how he's so excited that they're gonna meet each other, and even tells her that they had a whole schmex talk. And she's like, you talk to your parents like that? Like, what is wrong with you? But he asks her about the second rooms, and it's so funny because he tries to be like sneaky about it. He's like, so, you know, we were talking about separate rooms and whatnot, and you know, we could be doing that if you wanted to, and you know, and she's like, no, we're not doing that. I didn't come down here to be in a separate room. And he's like, no, I wasn't asking you. It was just hypotheticals, all hypotheticals. You know what? There are gonna be some rules though. We're gonna have to keep the door open. We're gonna have to invite my mom if we have any schmexy time. What the fuck are you talking about? That's my mother. Don't disrespect my mother. If she wants to come, she can come. And this is where she starts crying and breaking down and realize she made a pretty big mistake probably. She's like, I literally left everything. I was a director of a nonprofit. I had my bachelor's. I had everything out here. And now I'm coming out here to live with this guy's mom. And it's so sad how she described it. She said, I'm coming here to be a nobody. And that, I was like, oh damn girl. Like, you're not gonna be like, you could still be somebody, but like, damn. I bet that feeling is just like shattering, like building everything up just to be like knocked down into a basement with your fiance in his mom's house. But now Greg is stressed out. He's like, oh man, what did I do? Now I'm moving this girl into my mom's house. I know we need to get a house soon. I gotta make her happy. I'm gonna let future Greg deal with it. Yeah, I'm gonna let him deal with it. I'm too tired for that. And now Greg and Joan finally get to the house, and Joan thinks it's a beautiful home. But the one thing is the separate room problem. She said if Greg ever mentioned that before she left, she would have never came, which is crazy. That is the one thing that's about to break the camel's back. The separate rooms, like...
Bro, don't go
home. But Joan comes in and gets to meet her mom, and the mom is like, she's so quiet and clingy with him. And it's like, yeah, it's her first time in a different country. She has nobody around, and she's meeting her fiance's mom for the first time that she's going to be living with. What did you expect her to be coming in, kicking off her shoes, being like, what up, mudda? But her mom is like, oh, you're very beautiful, and you're very thin, very petite. Yeah, you're not gonna stay that way for long. Yeah, you're gonna blow the hell out here being in America. But they go upstairs to get unpacked, and the mom is like, we gotta have this schmex talk, like now. We can have it over dinner. They need to come down. But Joan was just way too tired, so she went upstairs, was getting unpacked, and realizes how much of his room is in disarray. There's literally a calendar on the wall that's from 2017, and he said he keeps it up because he likes the cute little pictures of the dogs. Then rip that page off and put it on the wall or so. And now Greg has a little cute puppy dog, Daisy, but Joan is not used to having dogs inside the house. She says when people usually have dogs, it's for security. They keep them outside. So seeing the dog inside is like tripping her out. And then on top of that, Daisy hops onto the bed and she's like, hell no, get the hell off my bed. And makes it even worse because he goes to pick the dog up and then give Joan a kiss. And then the dog licks her right on the face. So now she's big tweaking. And also just to sprinkle a little my life back into here, even though I know you guys do not care. My dog was named Daisy Mazers. She was like 14. She's gone now, but that was my
child. Anyway, so
now Joan runs to the shower to get cleaned up, and she says it's gonna take some time for her to get comfortable. Understandable. So Greg goes downstairs with his mom and again has another schmex talk and separate room talk, and it goes into him crying like a baby, begging like, please mom, I just want to hold her. All I want to do is hold her. And then starts compromising. Like, this just reminded me of a child begging for like something that they really wanted. It's like, listen mom, I could do the dishes. I swear I'll take out the trash. You don't even gotta ask me to, please. But he goes on to be like, please mom, all I want to do is hold her. Please, please.
So I don't know. I talked to her about sleeping in separate rooms. I mean, she was really upset.
I just can't wait to just hold her. I really just, every day, I don't know. I just love her so much, I really do.
Yeah.
I mean, we can make the compromise, leaving the door open, but, you know.
I know.
Okay, thank you, Mom.
Now, while Joan and Greg are doing their thing, Stevie and Maddie just woke up from doing theirs, and they said that last night was better than any other time they've ever done it. So her being scared about the physical intimacy, not a thing anymore. But what she is scared about is him still having doubts of coming here or wanting to go back home. And he straight up is like, oh, it was just a thing I said. It's not even that serious. I just thought it, and then I said it. And she's like, that is kind of serious though. Like, you came down here, you're changing your whole life, we're changing our whole life, and you have doubts, and it's not that serious. And he apologizes about it, and he's like, listen, I chose you, right? I chose you over my parents, which is a wild thing to say. But he goes on to say that he just said it because he's never been away from his family, and he was just feeling sad in the moment, but he didn't think that it would upset her, and he's just regretting even saying anything in the first place. But now Stevie is feeling a lot of guilt because she took him away from his life, and now is feeling a lot of pressure because now she has to fill this void that he has to be the family, the friends, the love, the happiness, the everything for him. Now Stevie and Maddie roam around, and now I think this was kind of cool that he got to experience this side of America instead of going straight back home to her little country bumpkin house, land on top of land. But they're walking down the street and so many things are happening. He's just really excited, and he says he doesn't feel like he belongs here, but he likes it. And now they're going out to try different foods, and she gets him a beignet and he eats it, and he's like, whoa, that was a straight flavor explosion. And that's another thing about America. I bet you our food, because we just loaded up with sugars and salts and all kinds of stuff, like the taste is probably like but he's like, if everything tastes like this, I'm gonna be fat. I'm gonna be so goddamn big. I'm gonna go from 90 Day Fiancé to 600-pound life. But they move on to start checking out some mannequins, and he's looking them up and down. But after he gets bored with them, he's like, when are the real titties gonna come out, huh? Where are the boobies at, huh? I remember seeing something somewhere where somebody just starts whipping them out. And she's like, we gotta wait till it's a little dark outside. We'll get you some beads. Now he's looking around and pointing out a lot of things that you can't do in Iran, saying that you can straight up just get arrested for it. There's people singing and dancing, and he's like, nope, you can't do that right there. There was somebody walking their dog, and he's like, nope, that dog needs to stay in the house. You can't have your dog outside. I'm sure this is a huge culture shock. And he even tries to go and speak on the living conditions and things that happen there, and he can't like really explain it. And the producers are like, come on, say whatever you want to say. You're in America, baby. And he is like, no, I can't, because my family is still there, and I'm worried for them. If I say something stupid, my family is going to take the repercussions. I can't even imagine. Like, I don't even want to speak on it my own, so I'm just gonna move on. Now we get to Sarper and Shekinah, and they're spending the rest of their time with his family. So they go out to the pool, and Shekinah is talking to Sarper's cousin, and of course, Sarper's family is concerned, sad that he's leaving, and Shekinah is happy that he's coming, but she, quote unquote, feels guilty that she's taking him, which
I think you're lying.
But his cousin is just saying that they have doubts because he's going to be alone there. And she's like, we've seen you guys in a billion trillion fights, and every single time you leave the house. So what happens when you guys get in a fight down there? And she's like, yeah, you know, I'm really scared of that. Like, what if me and Sarper just freak out and I kick him out of the house? Yeah, what if you do that? Like, he has nobody there. You know, well, I have a lot of friends, like so many friends that Sarper is gonna love, and if anything happens between me and Sarper, my friends would take him in. You obviously do not know Sarper. He wouldn't do that. He would just come straight back home. And his cousin points out that everything that she was saying is very concerning, because now it's not just a little, oh, this is my house, that's your house, we can break up or whatever. Like, you guys are about to get married. He's about to leave his country, not just come live with you, but you guys are now living with each other. It's both of your homes. So what do you mean? Oh, I'm gonna kick him out of my house. But Shekinah is nervous that he is going to have some type of control issue and that they're gonna have a lot of arguments because now he's gonna come to America and he's not gonna be able to work, so he won't be able to get any money and he won't be able to have that alpha maleness going on. So she feels like he's going to cause a lot of arguments over some control issues. But now it's time for Sarper and Shekinah to head out from his parents' home. And Shekinah, she always says the most fucking like obvious things, I swear to God. It's like she likes to sound profound or something. She's like, we told them really sad news and now they're like really sad. But Sarper is just hurt and confused and he's not entirely sure if what he's doing is right, but he's like, I just have to move forward. And he's in the car talking to her about it all, just expressing his feelings, like genuinely being like, man, I'm gonna miss my parents, like being open with her. And this is what I said where she don't give a fuck. She doesn't care. She was like, Sarper, you're a grown man. Why are you always attached to your parents' hip like that? Like you're stuck on the titty. Come on, Sarper, forget about your parents.
Turkey is different. We keep our parents close. We love our parents.
No, Sarper, I'm your wife. You have to choose me.
Did you see my mom? She was crying all over the place. You will understand when your daughter wants to leave the country.
No, I'm not, because I left my daughter in America for months at a time. She's independent, okay? I don't need my daughter, and she doesn't need me.
How are you feeling, babe?
Confused. How is it from your point of view?
Honestly,
You're
a grown man, and it kind of seems like you're attached to the hip with your parents.
It's a little different in Turkey, you know? It's not about being mama boy or whatever. One day Sophie tells you that she goes to another country.
I've raised her to be very independent.
And he's like, this bitch is mad because I got a cool family. My family loves me and they're supportive and her family don't give a fuck about her. But they finally get back to his apartment and he's trying to say his last goodbyes and he's like, oh, my home, I love my home. We need to turn this into a museum. I've had so many girls in here, thousands of girls. This is gonna be a fucking museum of black lights. But Sarper and Shekinah are packing up to leave and Sarper, again, is just saying he's making a lot of sacrifices for her. And Shekinah is like, which I totally forgot her sister's name is Shariah. Shekinah and Shariah. She goes into saying how he needs to make a good impression on her family, especially her daughter, because when Shariah came down and he was calling Shekinah a slut, that Shariah went back and told the family that, and Sophie heard that. So Sophie doesn't have the greatest impression of him. And she tells him that he just needs to watch his words and how he acts. And he's like, you know I'm an asshole. I'm cute though. And he's like, fuck it. If she doesn't like me, then I'll just take this trip as a little touristic trip and then I will bring my ass back home. And I understand her point, her basically being like, I'm not gonna marry you or anything if my kid doesn't like you because I need my kid to accept you. But at the same time, I understand his point. He says that a teenager should not be up in their business like that. She should not be in the relationship. So she shouldn't be dictating what happens if they're gonna get married or not. I definitely would not want to be with a man that my kid doesn't like. But at the same time, your kid's not even at home. And she's almost about to be grown. It would mostly be like if my kid was like 5, 6, 7, like in the childhood stage and they're gonna have to live with this motherfucker. But after that, it's like they're grown. They shouldn't be in my business. I'm grown. Like, and again, her kid is not even home for 5 whole weeks and then only comes home for a week and then leaves again. So I understand both of their sides, but she definitely needs to leave her teenager out of the drama. But Shekinah and Sarper head to the airport and Sarper's parents meet up with them and it's a very sorrowful bye. They're all crying and loving each other and he just hopes that the sacrifice that he's making is all worth it. But like he said, he can just bring his ass back home. So I mean, and that's the end of this week's episode. And I thought we were gonna get a little bit more into it, which I don't know why it's literally only the 3rd episode, but I totally forgot we still have one more couple or maybe even 2.
I swear I didn't know you were like doing this a lot. Coming from a country that you might get arrested if you have a naked girl picture, I wish you would have hidden them.
I want me and Greg to get our own house soon because we need to build our future.
You know, I declined that state job.
We did? We need the money.
My visa interview is tomorrow. I was wondering if I should go as a boy.
When Aaliyah shows up at the interview and they're expecting a Douglas, that could be the end of our journey right then and there.
I can imagine how painful it can be to have to pretend to be another person.
What happened on the cruise?
That's my private life.
On his last cruise, he allegedly cheated with a woman. I want honesty from Juan. Did you sleep with that girl?
Now, for anybody who's interested in future Greg's life, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe because I will come back and keep talking about him. But as always, thank you guys for coming and watching. It's always appreciated. You guys have a beautiful day. Bye.